we can all please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'd like to thank all of you for attending this morning's non-public consultation meeting for Teach STEM classes in New Jersey Public Schools and non-public security. Just as a reminder, this is one of several consultation meetings that are held throughout the year. I would first like to thank the County Superintendent for attending, Mr. Ahern.
Yes. Mr. Ahern is the shy guy sitting at the end. If you go straight with me, he has the crew cut. That's Kevin Ahern, our county superintendent, who we thank for all the work he does for Lakewood schools. He is an employee of the New Jersey Department of Education, but is always there for us in our many innovative projects. We do want to recognize many people, and all of you are important, and we thank you all for coming. We have here, first of all, Avi Schnall, who could not be here. He is in Trenton, working hard for all of these schools, so he did tell me this morning to send his regards. He does many things for non-public, but he is in Trenton. State Senator Robert Singer, who needs no introduction, who has always been a helpful person both to public and all children, non-public and public in Lakewood. He is in Trenton. The budget is being introduced by our governor. We also want to thank, I see here, Rabbi Weisberg from the VOD. He is here. I also see Rabbi Balsam from the head of the Eagle. We will introduce and we'll ask them just to stand up. There's an organization called Teach New Jersey. Teach New Jersey is very active in New Jersey and New York in advocating for non-public students. And let's introduce Adam Katz and Dan Mitzner, if they could stand, please. Sitting to my left, we have Supervisor Michelle, no, sorry, that's someone else. Supervisor Mrs. Stein, let's have a hand for Mrs. Stein actually is a supervisor in Lakewood schools, a math teacher, and as of this morning has agreed to be one of the teachers who will be available for non-public schools after her obligations here. So we have a good hand for Mrs. Stein. Sitting to my right, we all know, veteran superintendent and for many years to come, Mrs. Laura Winters. Sitting to her right is Adina Wise, Supervisor of Special Services. Sitting to her right is NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology graduate, and Lakewood Assistant Principal, Lakewood High School, and holds numerous certificates, science, math by New Jersey Department of Education, and I am proud to say, as of this morning, will be working in this program after his public obligations, Ben Lieberman. Sitting to his right is someone who is dedicated to all schools in Lakewood, an employee of Lakewood Schools, and anyone who has any security grant issues, grab him and tackle him today. Jim Trachetta. Sitting to his right, as we say, a landsman, a friend, and the principal of Lakewood Middle School, Mr. Goldstein. And sitting to his right and being honored this coming Saturday evening by a certain school, make sure you're there. Yes, board members need something other than the free supper they get, is Mr. Moshe Bender. We have a lot of information to give you, but I thought the best way, since every room where I appear is sort of like a courtroom to me, and drama typically gets the message home. So there were numerous articles. We do have representatives of the press here, which we do thank for their positive, inquisitive, and positive coverage. We both have Gustavo Martinez from the Asbury Park Press. And we have Steve Zawitsky from the Star Ledger. So I don't read the papers and the press, but I did get some copies, and there were some good questions that were asked. Of course, you could look at anything. You could look at anything either half full or half empty. For example, here we have a cup. So those of you like me who are cynics will say this is half full. Those of you who are positive will say it's the opposite, half full. So the legislation that was written, not by anyone in this room, but thanks to many efforts of many people in this room, including Rabbi Aaron Cutler, and many others. But the fact is that we, as one of the many districts in New Jersey, we don't write the legislation, we accept the legislation. So again, looking at this either half full or half empty, of course we could say, well, why, number one, does it have to be public school teachers? Why can't it be anyone who's certified? Well, of course you could say that, and hopefully you will say that to the people in Trenton who write the legislation, and they can hear you out. But we look at it as this is an innovative, exhilarating opportunity where teachers, and we have many of them here, which we're going to introduce, but public school teachers who are certified, who are educated, and hopefully are available. We know that Mrs. Stein is available, of course, and we know Mr. Lieberman is available, of course. But the fact is, this is a new program. From what we read and from what I've been told, there is millions of dollars available throughout the state. Another idea, if you're going to write, quote, fake news, yeshivas do not have major new funding grants. Of course you can write negative, because why not? That gets you to sell your blog. But the fact is that, in fact, this is new money that is available. New money that was never available. Here's another idea. If I was writing legislation, Lakewood has one of the biggest, if not the biggest, senior communities in New Jersey. There are more than 75, and this I did all of it in 3 hours, so there must be much more. But there's no less than 75 certified New Jersey DOE certified teachers who are retired. Wouldn't that be a great resource to utilize, many of them coming from Brooklyn and Rockland County and coming to live in many of the senior communities here? Well, that would be a great resource. But again, it's all in what you see and how you perceive it. So right now we have a new law, which we thank the governor, Senator Sweeney, and others for, which says what it says. And there'll be a quick slideshow, but we want to get out information so everyone can make informed decisions. Then, of course, there's another organization which says New Jersey legislators spend millions on private schools while cutting aid to public schools. Well, as a proud Lakewood High School graduate, our obligation is to the public school students because they have a legal entitlement to what's called a thorough and efficient education. I'm sure we all can understand that's the law. I am sure both on an ethical level and a legal level you can appreciate that public school students, and I always say this, and it's not popular sometimes, but it's the law, and I don't care who you speak to, the law is not as defined by me, it's the law. A public school student has an entitlement to what's called a thorough and efficient education, or in a special ed context, a free and appropriate public education, FAPE. I always use the example, and please don't be offended, but if we have Chuck who goes to Oak Street School, we have to sell the superintendent's desk. I made that example up when we had Deskgate once here many years ago. But we have to do that in order to provide him. As soon as Chuck becomes Chaim or Chris and goes to either Calvary or the Cheder, that individual entitlement is no longer there. But there are many opportunities, this being one of them, to hopefully get what all children need, which is, for today's discussion, and again, we are not here, no one must partake in this program. No one has to be part of it. But here we have teachers like Mrs. Stein, like Mr. Lieberman, who are public school teachers, well-trained, well-versed, supervised. I'm not here to embarrass Mrs. Stein, but when I sue districts throughout the state, many of them use her math curriculum. So these are people who are well-trained, veteran, who are willing to be part of educating all kids, and at no expense to the public school students, because the monies here come from, if you will, a separate pot of gold. The money for this program has nothing, it wasn't like they took from our budget as they do for the charter school, but it's not like they took from our budget to give this program. These are new monies available. I will say, and I thank him, I don't know if he's here, but thank God, thanks to the work of Mr. Lang, there are lawsuits going on that are trying to get additional monies for the public schools. But this is separate and apart. This is money that was never available. And even if we only qualify, and again, we qualify only if you, the non-public schools, want, even if it's $100,000, hey, it's more than you started off with. So let's give you some information. I do want to recognize our certified STEM teachers. By the way, the update from the article which appeared in the Asbury Park Press, there are now 21 teachers from Lakewood Public Schools who have expressed interest, and I want to have a hand for the Lakewood Park Press. By the way, that's 21 out of 22 teachers in the entire Ocean County. So we are, yes, the fastest growing township in Ocean County, but that means Toms River, Brick, Barnegat, Manchester, all these places I enjoy to sue. But the fact is, as a credit to the superintendent, the supervisors, and the staff, some of who are here, there are now 21 public school teachers who are expressed an interest. Other than Mrs. Stein and Mr. Lieberman, they are committed, so grab them while they last. And there will be other teachers, of course, understanding our teachers. They work 7 hours approximately a day, understand the confines of this legislation. Remember, either half empty or half full. We didn't write it. But as always, we are willing to test the legal parameters of the law, not break it, but extend it to our advantage, as always. But the fact is that we have teachers who work all day. We are the only urban school district in Ocean County. We have a population, as you may know, that's 100% free and reduced. a population that's 97% minority, a population of children, many from single homes, who want to learn, and these teachers dedicate their lives to these kids. However, many of them, we hope, will be ready, willing, and able to be available to the non-public schools. At least they've expressed interest, but again, with certainty, correct, Mr. Lieberman? Mr. Lieberman and Ms. Stein are available starting if the non-public, and this is important, in your package of information here, and shortly a slide, you, the non-public schools, have to fill out an application, is that right? And it's due by April 15th. Think of when you pay your taxes, you also need to file this. We don't file it, you don't file it, you non-public schools file it, and you have to file it with Mr. Ahern's office, the county superintendent. Kevin, just give me a wave or else I have to, there he is. Say, let's have him one more time. You shouldn't wait till the 15th, you should probably do it on the 14th, so then I can call the county office in the 15th in the morning and say, did you get all these people's applications? But when you file the applications by no later than the 15th, but hopefully before that, please copy Mrs. Winters, not me, Mrs. Winters, so we can track what's going on. The sooner you file this, the better. From what we understand, and there's a lot of questions that the New Jersey Department of Education has not answered, but the fact is that we know the application's due, we know what the application requires. I would get it in sooner than later, so if there are things you are missing, you can correct this. But again, you'll hear that shortly. Without further ado, we're going to have our slideshow, which will be sent out to all the non-public schools. Quite a few are texting as we speak that they're watching this and want to get a video of this. But we will have this slideshow available. Oh, I'm sorry, my boss. Let's introduce some of our public school teachers who have expressed an interest. So if you could just stand up and say who you are, wave, and start with you, sir. After you.
Hi, my name is Ross Lance. I am in middle school. I am the district's math interventionist.
Thank you. Let's just hold all the clapping to the end. Go ahead. Okay, we're going to hold the clap to the end. Everyone, we want to clap for all of you together real loud.
My name is Holly Petruska. I'm also in the Lakewood Middle School, and I also teach sixth grade math.
Okay.
Valerie Teresi, Lakewood Middle School, and teach science.
Okay, thank you.
Emily Varga, I teach eighth grade honors. Sue Myers, I teach eighth grade math at the school. Penny Alfie, I teach algebra.
I'm sorry, what is your name?
Penny Alfie.
Okay. And you teach?
Algebra 1 at the high school.
Thank you. Okay.
William Vogel, middle school special ed math, and Lakewood Middle School data coordinator.
Mr. Noble, is it?
Noble.
Goble. Okay, thank you. Next, if you would, feel free.
Hi, my name is Hassan Danfa. I teach geometry in the high school.
Thank you.
From Lakewood High School, Ayman Abdul, teaching BL and algebra.
Thank you.
High school, Elena Magvano, teaching geometry, algebra 1, algebra 2, students with special needs.
Thank you.
Mariette McHale, I teach algebra 1 at the high school.
Thank you. Oh wait, two people at once. Whoever wants to go first, please. I'm sorry, we can't hear.
First grade ICR.
Okay, and your name?
Leisha.
Okay. Next, whoever wants to.
Hi, I'm Yakabosa. I teach calculus in the high school.
Great. Do we recognize, there are other, oh wait, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Rachel McCorsky, Dennis Monday, preschool 7.
Great.
Michal Carney, transitional K, South.
Rafa Newman, transitional special ed teacher, transitional kindergarten.
Okay, and there are other teachers. Oh, wait, there is someone else. I'm sorry. Great. By the way, I just looked on my handy-dandy phone here with my Face ID. Apparently, April 15th is a Jewish holiday, so don't wait till the 15th. Apparently, April 15th is the last days of Passover, so you want to do it way before Passover, but I thank you for letting me know that, so you should get it in, let's say by March 15th. Hey, why not? If you want this. We do have numerous other teachers who are expressing interest. The people who you saw here have all expressed an interest. They're learning more about this. That's why they're here. Again, we have for sure 2 people, our supervisors, who are willing, able, and are going to do this. We thank them for that volunteerism. Of course, paid, which gets to the next question. How does the whole thing work with the paying? We are seeking more information from the DOE, but there is some sort of formula, which I, not being strong at math, but you take the salary, and Ms. Stein, how do you figure out the, feel free to use that mic.
We computed the hourly salary by taking the teacher's salary, dividing by 180 days that they were contracted for, and then divided by a 7-hour workday.
Okay, and
Repeat that.
can you say that a little slower?
Sure. We took the teacher's salary,
Which is a public school salary.
divided it by 180 days that they're contracted for, and then divided by a 7-hour workday, that gave us their hourly salary.
And the hourly salaries obviously is based on what they are making. Certain teachers are just starting, others have more seniority, math and science teachers, but we've seen it can go from anywhere from $40 to $100, almost $100 an hour, depending on your levels of certification, which would come, none of this money is coming from our public school monies or our public school students, and this is the formula that we understand from the state. So without further ado, we are actually proud to say that we've had no less than 9 schools express interest. As of yesterday, we can announce that a boys' high school, Yeshiva Beis HaChinuch, Rabbi Gray's Yeshiva, has committed to this program. They actually have STEM textbooks and other materials. So again, those people who love to blog themselves to death, may it be speedy. But the fact is that school has committed. Also, Lakewood Cheder School has committed. That's another boys' school, and we had some expressions of interest from other schools. Expressions of interest mean they're still learning, as we are. Expressing a commitment means they're still learning. Of course, it's subject to working out the scheduling of the teachers and the scheduling of the students. The students who you should be looking for, according to Ms. Winters, which I agree with, are students who are motivated, who are accelerated. These are students who want, it is not, and there's another question, which again, may the bloggers blog themselves in a speedy manner. This is not to replace tuition. Tuition burden of non-public parents is a very big burden for all of us, but this is not supposed to reduce tuition. This is supposed to make it that students, whether they're the next pope, head rabbi, or just a simple lawyer, they can actually know something about science and math, which again, as Rabbi Cutler so beautifully explained to the Star Ledger, which we thank for a fair article, that's all we ever want is fair. This is not supplementing. All of the schools in Lakewood, by law, have programs already. This is to supplement the programming. It's not in lieu of or in place of. So if you have students who are, is that good, bad? You're okay? Good? You're talking about math theories now or something? Motivated, acclimated. That doesn't mean you can't be a classified student, you know, my passion for that, but it has to be students who want to learn math and science, not because we have to put them somewhere. So, with that being said, we welcome, again, how many schools can do this? Watch this. We don't know. But we do know by March 15th, even though the deadline's April 15th, I don't work for the state. In fact, I love to sue the state. But the fact, no disrespect to my friend from the state in the back, but you either work with me or you work with me. But the fact is that I would assume the sooner you apply, the better. I assume. I don't know who reviews it, but I don't know. You know, when Costco has a sale, you want to get there first. So without further ado, we go to this video, the slide, the PowerPoint. And who is going first? Mr. I am available for math, Lieberman. Oh, he has his own microphone, great. So we're going to put on the slide. It's up there. We're going to shut the light a little. Of course we are. Brian, of course we are. There you go.
All right, so thank you everyone for coming. Thank you General Counsel, Superintendent. Thank you to all the people who made this grant happen. Thank you to the teachers, the public school teachers for coming. And finally, thank you to the non-public schools for attending this consultation meeting. We'll go through a couple of details for the grant. It's called Chapter 256. It establishes a new grant that provides additional compensation for public school teachers to teach STEM, which stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Math classes in the non-public schools. It's an unprecedented opportunity. I see it as a win-win for several stakeholders. I see it as a win for the non-public schools. I see it a win for the public school teachers to earn extra income in the evenings. I also see it as a win for the public school district, as hopefully it will attract STEM teachers to come teach for us, who would be available to teach in the evenings as well. So the grant is for teachers to teach in grades 5 to 12, and the grant period will run from July, so if the school wants to do a summer STEM program, that can work. So July through June 2021, and it's only for non-public schools that are registered with the New Jersey Department of Education.
Which, as we speak, there are more than 127 non-public schools in Lakewood registered. If you're not registered with the New Jersey Department of Education, it's a simple process. You go on the NJDOE website, you look under non-public, and you register. So, but most, if not all of you are. Go ahead, Mr. Mayor. Science.
So in order to qualify, in order for a teacher to qualify to teach within a non-public school, the teacher needs to be currently teaching within the public school, and the teacher needs to hold certification in the area of STEM, which can include science, math, technology, engineering. Or they can be enrolled in a STEM program, or they can provide a written statement saying that they are interested in pursuing a STEM program within two years. And there are several programs available that can train teachers in those areas. The compensation, as Ms. Stein said earlier, is based on a 35-hour work week and 10-month school year.
Mr. Lieberman, just if you look at that slide, if you're not certified in math or science now, but you are a public school teacher, these are the options you have. Within, I believe it's 2 years, you can get I believe it's 15 credits that you need. The district actually has other possible funding sources to help you get those. We are in touch with Georgian Court University already to work something out to help get those. It's not official yet, but there are programs. You went to Georgian Court, did you not? As did my wife, mother, and daughters. But there is a way while you do this, as long as you hold a New Jersey NJDOE teaching certificate. If you don't have this specialty in math and science, if you commit to do this within 2 years. Also, I might add, if you look at the newspapers, Star Ledger, Asbury Park Press, and others, the Lakewood Public Schools is looking for more teachers in science and math. We have openings because, thank God, in the public schools, We have new pathways for biotech, computer science. So if you know people who are teachers, who are NJDOE certified, just yesterday alone, Ms. Winters, just from the article from the Star Ledger, I assume people read that, I guess, three people from throughout the state have sought interest in coming here. So if you know anyone who works anywhere and has an NJDOE certificate, since you do have to be a public employee, but we are looking for the public school kids for teachers anyway. But go ahead, Mr. Lieberman. Oh, Ms. Wise. Thank you, Ms. Let's have a hand from math and science. Who again, as far as fake news, is available, is a teacher, and grab him while he's hot. Go ahead, Mrs. Wise. Mrs. Stock.
Hi, how are you? Thank you all for coming. And we're extremely excited about this opportunity for our public school teachers and for the non-public as well. Okay, so I'm just going to walk you through the application process. If you go through the packet, there should be a list of all the teachers in the state who actually expressed interest in the grant.
Which is not updated.
Right.
So Mr. Ahern's office, who has always been helpful, we will get today, I am sure, the most updated list, but we know there are 5 more Lakewood teachers on there already. Go ahead.
On the second to last 2 pages, actually, where we have the Lakewood teachers who signed up, but in any event, the non-public school, if they're interested, they would reach out to the Ocean County Superintendent's office, and they would get the list. Obviously, it is a little bit more covered. At that point, the non-public school would contact the teachers directly and work something out with them. Once you decide that you want to partner with them, then you start to fill out the application. As it says up here, the non-public school must submit a separate grant application for each teacher. So if you want to partner with 2 teachers, you would have to fill out 2 separate applications. More than one.
So is it for each teacher? So for each teacher, you need to submit, you see we're learning, another application. Try to get the early, think of Costco, the earlier the better.
If 2 schools want to partner and work with 1 teacher, they would submit a joint application. The application deadline, like we said, is April 15th at 5 p.m., but we're going to say it's March 15th. Any incomplete application will not be considered.
Which is why you should submit to Aaron's office, who always works with us and works with all districts and all students, and identify what might be missing.
And then it would be submitted to non-public STEM grant at doe.nj.gov. And then you would find out in the spring whether or not you were approved for the grant.
And it's starting from the NJDOE, who has told us it's starting this summer. So there is the availability for summer programming, afternoon programming, evening programming, weekend programming. This is what they told us.
Yes.
Okay?
It's a 6-page application. The first page actually is in your folder, and it's section 2, labeled 2.1. This page over here is purely informational. You would put down the non-public schools information. You would put down the partnering district information. So if you decide to partner with a teacher who's not in Lakewood, you would have that public school where you're employed. You would put down that information. And then the last thing you have is the teacher's name and the contact information.
And let me make that clear, because one of the reporters yesterday asked me, you don't have to, well, obviously your school's in Lakewood, but if you want a teacher, well, there are no others from Ocean County, but one in Lacey. What a beautiful Lakewood district. Let's have a hand for our teachers one more time. But it could be anywhere. You could get a teacher from Patterson or something, but then you would write that district down.
Okay, the second page of the application, section 3, that's just where you would specify what type of certification and qualification the teacher has. Like we said before, there are 3 options. Option 1 is that they have the correct certification. They're already STEM certified. Option 2 is that they're in a STEM program, so you would reach out to the college and have a letter saying that they're enrolled in a STEM program. And option 3 is that the teacher would commit to enroll in a STEM program within the next 2 years, so you would need a letter expressing that. And along with that, there would be a teacher agreement to return the grant funds if the enrollment has not occurred within the 2 years. So this is page 2. It's really just a checkmark. The third page of the application, 4. Yeah. The third page of the application, 4.1, that's where you would put down, all the information about the class that you're planning on running. So it would have the class name, class description, grade level. Obviously, at this point, as far as curriculum, it may not be so specific, but in general, what you're trying to accomplish in this class, and then any equipment or resources that you would need to run this class.
And let me just, again, to the people who apparently are bored and enter comments on the Star Ledger's article, all of the non-public schools have textbooks, which again is another thing that non-public schools get. So there are textbooks. It's not just going to be some teacher going up there shooting the breeze. And we know and we thank the state for every district gets non-public textbook aid. Go ahead.
4.2, this is the fourth page. It would have the class name, the projected student enrollment in the STEM class that we're running, and the number of teaching hours per STEM schedule, and then obviously a tentative proposed teacher schedule, because we're doing this in March for next school year.
And it could be for the summer, afternoons, evenings, weekends.
Okay, 4.4 is very, very simple. All you put down is the number of students enrolled by grade level. And even though the grant's only for grades 5 to 12, you would include information for any grade level you have in your building. Okay, and then the next one, section 5 is the agreement. This is where the partnering public school district gets involved, because this partner is between the non-public school and the district to make sure that the schedules are approved between the non-public school and the public school.
What, Mrs. White?
Signed by the superintendent.
So who has to sign what?
The partnering public school district, the superintendent would sign off on the schedule and on the partnership.
Is that part of the application?
Yep, this is the last page, and it's labeled section 5.
So once you complete the application, you would bring it to Mrs. Winter's office, 364-2400, extension 7055, lwinters@lakewoodpiners.org. The administration building is right behind the high school, and she is here every day, including weekends at times. So please, the sooner the better. Think Costco.
Okay, and then the last page of the application is nothing for you to do. It's just a checklist, just to make sure that you hit all the necessary components of the application. Because like we said at the beginning, if it's not complete, it's going back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, good morning. This application process is really rather simple. Out of all the grants that I've ever seen, this is really a very simple process, and the reporting requirements are also extremely simple. At the end of each year, you would just have to complete a teacher schedule, provide that to NJDOE, which would include the days and the hours that your class took place, any scheduling obstacles you would list, recommendations to improve the program you would add, any observational information, and the STEM certification of your teachers or their enrollment in a STEM program would be added into reporting requirements. And one last point regarding this grant is that the teacher is employed by the state of New Jersey, not by the non-public school. And if
Actually, the employee is employed by Lakewood Board of Education.
Right.
Not the state.
Right, but, okay. If at any time a participating non-public school determines that a participating eligible teacher is not in compliance with the program or is violating the non-public school's code of conduct, the non-public school may submit information to the commissioner supporting its determination and request that the teacher be removed from participation in the program. After reviewing, the commissioner may terminate that teacher.
And as the general counsel for Lakewood Board of Education, should that eventuality occur, even though we don't see it, they are our employee, and of course, they have jobs here, so that process should not be a problem. We're not looking to terminate anyone. What we're looking to do is make sure it's a match, so that won't be a problem. What else, Mrs. Wise?
We're going to just show a short video.
Anything else?
Nope, we're going to show a short video.
Right.
regarding this.
Okay, so you have the application. Get it in sooner than later. Mrs. Stein and Mr. Lieberman, who are learning this application, who also will be teaching this, are available now, later, Their email's very easy, mstein@lakewoodpioneers.org, blieberman@lakewoodpioneers.org. They do get back, and should they not, you know my email, but they will. Because the process seems to be very, very easy. That doesn't mean you get it. That doesn't mean anyone gets it. It is a new program. We are now going to switch gears quickly into, and thank you everyone who spoke about this. We're going to switch gears, right? Good. We have a short, very short STEM video, very short. So short.
Is it X minus 90? There's nothing I can do.
These are kids in Lakewood public schools and some of our pathways and innovative programs for our public schools.
What next? Cancel out what? So what's next? Make the run over?
On your calculator, but you didn't start making the sketch. So think back to what
This is Mrs. Yaffe, who is a teacher here, is available, and is signed up.
What is this going to be all the time? Always positive. Always, tell me why.
Mr. Lang, who we owe a lot of gratitude to, a math teacher in Lakewood Schools, so hopefully will be available. Thank you. We move on now to the security portion of this, which there is a lot of information. You know this is not a new grant, and Mr. Trishada, who's here, actually administers the grants, does many things. One of them is this. As of now, and Mr. Trishada did send me that information, but of course I can't find it, the non-public security grant, especially in these challenging times we live in, is about $5 million. Mr. Trishada, just give me the number. How much does Lakewood get?
5.2.
5.2
million.
5.2 million. We don't determine that. It's determined by the state. That money does not come from the public school students. It comes from the state. It's calculated at $150 per student. As of today, how much do we have, when we say we, the state allocated to each non-public school, how much of the 5.2 million has not been used?
A little more than half, 2.8.
$2.8 million of monies are out there dedicated by the state for non-public security, which has not been utilized. If that money is not utilized by June 30th, it goes back to the state. It does not reduce your taxes. It does not reduce your tuition, and unfortunately, it does not go to the public school students. So that money is out there. There will be, and we're going to show quickly a slide on what is available, and you know this already, but we want to remind you the video. We are going to show you, but non-public schools, again, due to necessity, are becoming more and more innovative. They have security guards now being funded by this grant, computers for security purposes being funded by this grant, security vehicles being supported by this grant, which comes from state money. Security, where is what I want? Yes, security hardware, and here we go. We didn't put the names of the schools for security reasons, but what you see here as a credit to the superintendent, Mr. Bender, and the board, before the security situation became what it is, these are things that have been going on. We did not put the names of the schools, and all of the schools, we sent you a list, you have it, of what money you were allocated by the state, so use it. These are just some ideas. which are actually happening. And again, these monies are state monies allocated to non-public schools based on resident students at $150 per student. And these are actual pictures, but with the school's names removed for security reasons.
Should a bus arrive late, we have the option of clicking on an actual bus. For example, I'll use bus number 26. Once you click on that bus and hit the next button, we have a choice of what we want to.
This is actually something
put
we're
down
using in
so
our
the
public
parents are aware
schools.
that the child will be arriving home late.
You're
Whether
looking
the
for-
route arrived, what time it departed, and what the status of. Is it delayed, on time? Is it going to be 15, 20 minutes, 25 minutes? So forth
This
and
is
so on.
security we have in
And
our
then we can
in our
actually
public
send a
schools.
message out to parents.
When kids go
Parents
on
will receive
buses,
a
we
text
had some
on their cell
incidents
phone,
where
and once
kids
that hits
couldn't
send
be
message
located.
out,
Now we have this security system, which Mr. Goldstein, our esteemed principal at the middle school, will talk about briefly, if you would. That's your cue. Right now.
So sometimes in Lakewood there's some accidents, or sometimes there's some traffic, which causes our buses at the end of the school day to be late. And
Sometimes means always. Read into that, please. Go ahead.
So we didn't have a way to contact parents, so we had asked Mrs. Winters along with the board if they could put together some sort of program that could be localized at each one of the schools, so we could reach out to the parents as soon as we know that the bus is going to be late. So as you saw demonstrated in that video right there, was a very simple way for us to access parents as soon as we know the bus is going to be late.
So if your child is late, instead of having which we all have gone through this, hopefully not, but there's a notification of as long as the parent has a cell phone.
Correct.
Mr. Goldstein and his staff at all of our public schools, which no other school district has in Ocean County. Again, all these gems of Lakewood schools that people are beginning to write about. But this is something you're utilizing now, and has been effective?
Very much so.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is also available for non-public schools. We do have here, all of this goes out via bid, because we do have to follow contract law and bidding law, but we do have here a representative from Iron Rock Security. If you could wave hello if you're here. Okay, that is Mr. Fromowitz. We welcome him. We also have Trademark Technology, Mr. Thaler, if you could raise your hand. We have someone here from ADM, Mr. Monk, if you could raise your hand. Interestingly enough, one of the things that some of the non-public schools are using through security, and you don't need to have internet, you don't need to have all those things, but actually students can, teachers can register. I saw a demonstration a few months ago where a student teacher is in a school, they use a swipe card or something, and if the kid is not in class, in addition to attendance, that alerts the parent. These are things that are ready, available. It's no longer like it used to be, I would say, when you watch the Flintstones, but I won't. But these are things that actually exist today, which the hardware exists today. That company, ADM, is a national company servicing more than 150 school districts throughout the country. This is another gem of Lakewood, where these companies are based in Lakewood, even though they service districts throughout the state and country, and they probably had a good science and technology education, which is why, within the parameters of our parameters, we're hoping you take advantage of this. But again, there's about $2.5 million of state monies. Last year, we returned about $140,000, it could be more, about that, unused, non-public security money. It doesn't go to the public schools if we don't use it. It doesn't reduce your taxes. So please be in touch with Jim. There are many of you who have put in information and requests. I see my Lady Diana's here, Diane Piazzantini. Let's have a hand for her. She is such a nice woman. She is in charge of in the business office, Lashon Saginor. She is in the business office. Her title, purchasing agent. She puts together the bids with Mr. Trishetta, because when you put in your computer where your whatever you use for security, it has to go out to bid. The next bid will be going out by March 15th. Once it goes out to bid, it gets advertised, and then the lowest responsible, am I saying that right? The lowest responsible bidder. But another round of applause for Ms. Piazzantini. If you say her name, she claps for herself. Again, if you say her last name correctly, that's good too. So that is our presentation as to the grant, this new, exciting, innovative grant, which we do not control. We cannot tell you if anyone from Lakewood will get this, but we know if you don't apply, and again, I learned something today, which is good. Each discipline, each teacher apparently has to be a separate application. We do thank, again, Rabbi Schnall for all the work he has done and continues to do. Aguda, we thank them. We thank New Jersey teach representatives. I think this is the first time they ever came to the little hamlet called Lakewood. We're not as bad as they say, you see. And we thank, I see many members of, I see the Lakewood Shopper, a very informative paper. I see the press. I see the Ledger. I don't know if there are others. We hope there are. And again, get this information out. Is this a perfect? No, and we will end as we end on summation in court. So the judge goes home with the idea. You just look at it as half full or half empty. And I hope you will take advantage of this. Thank you again. Let's have a round of applause for our superintendent. And there is food outside as you leave from Gelbstein's, a place that's been around for more than I've been around here, and coffee and other things. So thank you and welcome, and come again and apply often.